with media availability, including Jaheim Bell, scheduled for some media availability this afternoon. Very interested to hear just his perspective on a season that has not gone the way that I think uh, he would have expected. So,
We lot of I don't know. It should be interesting. Shane Beamer's Sunday teleconference was obviously interesting. There was a lot to talk about after that. Players and coaching. Obviously Jaheim. That there should be some interesting questions and answers maybe there.
mhm.
Shane Beamer again. I think some of it will be a piggyback off of things that he discussed on Saturday and Sunday. Obviously, he'll talk about Vanderbilt, but there are going to be some, lingering storylines and questions to talk about there. And then the coordinators tomorrow. Well, I know
Yes.
we'll have more on that tomorrow, but just kind of thinking through it, some of the different things that we're going to hear about this week, it should be very
Yeah,
interesting.
it should be good. So, you got something on that?
Well, I was going to say a little bit of news this morning. I know you were doing the show there. I almost missed this as well driving in, but
Oh, right. Yeah.
Corey Rucker tweeting, praying for a successful surgery. I'll be back next year. So, officially out for the season now. It seems like, whatever that specific injury was with his foot had just sort of lingered, happened early on, was in a boot in preseason camp, did return briefly, had the touchdown catch against Charlotte, I guess it was late. Actually got on the field a little bit against SC State, but has not played since then. And now will have surgery and is officially out.
Yeah, disappointing for him. You mentioned just the 2 games, so he can preserve his red shirt, and he came in with 2 years remaining of eligibility?
He is listed as a junior.
Right. So
So
he'll
I haven't
he'll preserve
done
both years.
the COVID math on that. He was actually, you know what? He was a freshman in 2020. So
So he's only played 1 season of football, so he could have 3 more years of eligibility and be playing at Carolina when he's 30?
no, he's played 2 seasons of football, but only one of them counts.
Right, right. So
So
2021, the only year that counts against his
so
eligibility?
he could be technically he would be a junior. He'd be a redshirt junior next year. He would be a senior the year after, and then if he wanted, I mean, most guys probably aren't going to do it, but if he wanted to, he could actually stay for an additional year after that.
So in 2023, he's going to be an academic senior and a football sophomore, basically.
Pretty much.
That's amazing. I was kind of half joking the other day when we were talking about, still talking about the COVID guys like 5 years from now, but it seems like we're gonna have those guys forever. So, yeah, disappointing. Didn't end up being much of a contributor on a regular basis for South Carolina, which is a shame considering the anticipation with which he entered the program. But someone that South Carolina can, I guess, look forward to having for another half decade if they need to.
Yeah, and I think the interesting thing is when he first arrived, there was a lot of buzz, not just externally, but once he started practicing, we were hearing, "Hey, who's the better receiver?" Juice Wells, who really had emerged, I think, internally as like, all right, even though South Carolina has a leading returning receiver in Josh Finn, it was kind of like this guy's probably the best receiver on the team. Well, Wells was already making some plays early on in camp that made you say, this is a conversation. And as far as who is going to be the best receiver this year. So
Hmm.
a guy they certainly could have used, a guy that you're going to be happy to have back next year, I think. And it's difficult anytime you have a foot injury. I think it seemed like there's always that decision of, all right, is this going to be a surgery thing? Is this going to be a rehab
Mm-hmm.
thing? And, that's why I think it kind of played out the way it did, that they were sort of hopeful they could get him back. And, it just, I would assume, never really got to that point where it was full go, and now he's going to have surgery.
Right. And no big deal since it's not like he burned a red shirt trying to come back and then had to shut it down or anything like that. But I'll be curious to get Shane Beamer's thoughts later on this afternoon on, I guess, kind of what happened in the last week that led them to make that decision rather than continuing to just wait till the offseason, see if he could tough it out. But regardless, an interesting note there for South Carolina, even if not a big determining factor on the field, likely for the rest of the season. But with that in mind, was there anything else in a notebook dump kind of way that you guys wanted to get to specifically from the game on Saturday before we start to look a little more big picture?
I don't know. You know,
You can just say no if you want. I mean, you don't
yeah,
have to
I
have
was
anything.
I was trying to fluff up saying no. I mean, I came in, you know, like you said at the beginning, Pearson. I came in on Monday saying I wasn't sure how much there was to like analyze or really dissect from the game.
Mhm.
Just because I think it was so. I don't know. It was just kind of so obvious what happened.
Right.
There wasn't a lot of good for South Carolina at all, like in any phase of the game, and you could really just kind of see what happened. It's very kind of simple, actually. You know why they lost that football game.
Let me ask you this then, specifically. Well, do y'all collaborate on the grades? Colin wrote the grading the Gamecocks piece after the game.
No,
That's just a Colin piece?
yeah, that's just Colin. That's
Okay.
his opinion. We are not responsible for any, or,
You're not responsible for
retweet is not an
Colin's opinions
endorsement.
about a bit of honey.
Yep.
Yeah.
Colin gave the quarterbacks a D, which I guess is just Spencer. He was the only quarterback that took a snap on
He
Saturday.
was. Yep.
Colin gave Spencer Rattler a D. Would you agree with that assessment? Do you feel like it was more like a C? Do you agree? I feel like it was maybe more than an F.
I'm gonna be honest with y'all. I have a hard time, like grading. You know, if this was like
Yeah.
grading a test, it's like, all right, you got the answer right or wrong.
Just
I
pass
guess
fail.
you know, and I guess an essay, you know, yeah, there's some interpretation here, but I feel like we're grading an essay without knowing what the topic of the essay was when
Hmm.
it comes to grading a quarterback, and it's already kind of difficult to do. You know, even when a guy plays well, like I guess it's pretty easy to be like, all right, that was probably an A performance, but um, there's so many variables involved in this. Like I wouldn't sit here and tell you that Spencer Rattler, you know, played well. But at the same time, um, I feel like there's a lot preventing the quarterback in that game from having any chance of playing well. Um, you know, and you can talk about game plan, play calling, O line play, you know, kind of everything. If Rattler was going to have a good game on that day, it was going to. I mean, it was going to take a superhero effort just to even have a solid day. I think he was getting flushed from the pocket. He was getting chased. Um, you know, I'm sure there were a few plays where maybe he bailed on the pocket. We've seen him do that in the past, but this felt like more actual pressure as opposed to him feeling pressure. We've seen him at times feel it when it's not there. This felt like there was real pressure. And, you know, whereas Missouri, as we talked about, did a lot of good things to keep their quarterback from having to be in those situations. You know, partially because they're down by 17-0, partially just because that was the game plan. South Carolina, A, didn't necessarily do that. B, when they did throw some quick throws to the outside, they didn't consistently block well enough. There was a little stretch where it felt like, you know, I think Xavier Legette had a couple of little nice plays off of a, you know, a screen play or quick throw to the outside, whatever you want to call it. But for the most part, you know, I'm like completely going around actually answering your question. But I just really struggle to actually grade the QB in a game like this. And very clearly, you know, from Spencer's comments after the game as well, like, you know, I think he actually handled those answers pretty well to not, you know, throw anybody under the bus while also sort of saying, what he said.
Yeah, I mean, for him to essentially say, he didn't know what they were essentially being asked to do or supposed to do, and I'm paraphrasing. I don't have the quote right in front of me. I love that. Like, I appreciate the honesty of that answer, and I'm sure he got I'm sure he had to go to like mandatory media training for 10 hours the next day to never ever say anything remotely honest like that again. But it's, I think, a very very fair reflection of what it feels like we have been watching. One of those things where the insight of someone within the program matches the eye test, in my opinion. And I'll agree, Wes, with you in that in the same way it's hard to assess Jaheim Bell as a player. Is
Mhm.
he not good enough to be earning the touches, or is there something about the offense that is just inherently broken, and therefore someone like Jaheim Bell isn't allowed to shine? I'm willing, or at least to this point, have been willing to kind of grant that same grace to Spencer Rattler. But he came in as someone that was supposed to raise the floor of this team. Like, his passing ability was supposed to render the problems that Carolina had with the passing game moot. And the fact that he hasn't done that, I'm left feeling like Saturday and so far for the year that he's got a failing grade. I know it's like, look, interceptions off receivers' hands. You're not responsible for that. You're not responsible for a bad offensive scheme or bad play calls, but he hasn't been the answer for Carolina.
Yeah, he hasn't. And I think certainly looking at the way it played out last year with 4 different quarterbacks playing, and now you have some consistency at the quarterback position as far as the person that's out there. You would have hoped by now that you've found some rhythm, you've found some timing, and I truly thought there were some signs that was happening. Second half of the Kentucky game, but then even you look back the A&M game, you win the game. They had a couple of nice drives, but otherwise, kind of sputtered around a little bit there as well. And I do think there's such thing as fit, and we see it all the time in football. The scheme fit, the skill set, and you look. Spencer Rattler obviously is an extremely talented dude. Like, I still have no doubts about that whatsoever. Even the year that people point to where he got benched at Oklahoma was actually a very successful year statistically. I mean, he was putting up good numbers. They just so happened to have the number one quarterback in the country from a couple of years later after Spencer available. Most teams probably don't have that.
He was absolutely ridiculous, by the way. Like, he's like Patrick Mahomes out there at Southern Cal now.
Yeah, so I mean, 98 times out of 100, he's not even getting benched there, and this whole thing plays out completely differently. But I do think quarterbacks are going to excel when you put them in schemes and play calling and situations that accentuate what they do. And the whole thought process was this is an opportunity for him to come in and learn a more pro style offense and show he can do it. Unfortunately, it's kind of going the other way in that it has not clicked.
I want to come back to that Oklahoma year, and I'm glad you brought that up because there's one huge disparity between Spencer's numbers at Oklahoma and his numbers at Carolina. Probably not the numbers that you're thinking of that make this, in my opinion, a little bit more of a difficult conversation, but I think one that needs to be had nonetheless. 803-404-6100. Love Chevy phone line, text line. However you want to be a part of the show, you can get us there, or you can get us on Twitter at Pearson Fowler, at Wes Mitchell GC, at GC Chris Clark. Short of Shane Beamer changing the play calling responsibilities, looking for a spark for South Carolina's offense. Where's it going to come from? We'll continue to talk about the quarterback position next.
The Early Game with Bill Gunter and Jen Jensen.
Aside from you bragging that you picked the winner, I don't know if we mentioned who actually won the race or what it meant for the actual playoffs. We more discussed the fight.
Yeah. And that's why it would have been more block game material.
All right. That's why she's the producer and I just sit here in my little
I don't ever make a producer. Just go with the flow.
You're a wise man.
The fight back and forth over the mic would probably not be what people want to hear.
On your home of the Gamecocks, 107.5 The Game.
This is Damon Amendolara with your CBS Sports Minute. Justin Verlander rolled in on the team bus to Philly and flipped off the Philly fans, which is clearly a mind game he's playing with the notoriously rambunctious fan base. He has stunk in his World Series outing, so the Astros have to win at least one in Philly to send it back. Now, Justin, you got to deliver. This is Damon Amendolara.
When a cold comes on strong, knock it out with Vicks DayQuil Severe for max strength daytime relief. Just one dose of Vicks DayQuil Severe starts to relieve 9 of your worst cold and flu symptoms to help take you from 9 to none. Power through your day with Vicks DayQuil Severe, the daytime non-drowsy, coughing, aching, fever, sore throat, 9 to none medicine. Use as directed.
Ray Magliozzi here for eBay Motors. Okay, easy now. You're teaching a kid how to parallel park. Ouch! Turns out he likes to do it by feel. Don't worry, eBay Motors has bumpers, taillights, trunk lids, license plate holders, 122 million parts. Pull up just a little bit. And headlights. They've got lots of headlights. Get the right parts at the right prices. eBay Motors. Let's ride.
At the Samuels Reynolds Law Firm, we've seen how terrible accidents turn lives upside down, and we're proud to be the lawyers our clients depend on during their toughest moments. I'm Jason Reynolds. Call me when your family is faced with any serious injury or death.
And I'm Stephen Samuels. When you're hurt at work, I go to work getting you the medical treatment and workers' compensation you depend on. We have the experience and passion you need when you need it most.
Samuels Reynolds. True injuries, true lawyers. 779-4000.
Hey, if you've got a hole in your roof or you need a whole new roof, you need to call Mid-State Roofing, 356-1919. For nearly a quarter of a century, Mid-State Roofing has established its reputation as the leader in the roofing industry. Whether it's above your head or at your feet, perhaps a leaky foundation, 356-1919 is the number to call for all your roofing and waterproofing needs. The quality and craftsmanship of a Mid-State roofing system are tops in the industry, especially commercial and industrial roofing systems. If you own or you're in charge of a large building, warehouse, or industrial facility, then you're in charge of that roof. And at some point, a roof is going to need some attention. So the number to call for advice, service, results, and a commitment to customer satisfaction is 356-1919. See all that Mid-State has to offer when you click on midstateroofing.com. Tell them, Mid-State twins.
If you have a leak, let Mid-State Roofing take a peek.
356-1919, midstateroofing.com.
Life moves until back, neck, or shoulder pain hits and brings you to a stop. That's why there's the Joint Chiropractic, an easy and affordable way to relieve pain and help keep you moving. At The Joint, there's no appointment or insurance hassles, and we're open evenings and weekends. Visit today to keep your life moving with our $29 new patient special, including an exam, consultation, and chiropractic adjustment. Visit thejoint.com. That's thejoint.com to find a clinic near you.
Hey, it's Terry Ford from 107.5 The Game. Just want to yap with you a minute about real estate. Okay, if you're dealing in the real estate market, either buying or selling, it's the biggest transaction for a lot of folks that you'll ever make, right? So if you're going to be dealing with the biggest transaction you're ever going to make in your life, you need somebody you can trust and depend on, because trust and dependability are kind of important when you're dealing with this kind of money. Call my guy, Kevin Johnson, Jeff Cook Real Estate. Two key values of the Johnson team: communication, availability. Don't believe me? Write down this number real quick. 803-770-5496. That's 803-770-5496. You call it, guess what happens? Kevin will personally take your call. It won't be some 800 number talking to some guy in Billings, Montana, who doesn't know Columbia, South Carolina from Columbia, Missouri, or the country Columbia. So if you're buying or selling a home, call Kevin Johnson of Jeff Cook Real Estate, 803-770-5496, or online at johnsonteamsc.com.
Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet Studios. This is 107.5 The Game. Stop by or shop online today and see why Herndon Chevrolet makes you smile.
It's the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour.
Presented by Firehouse Subs. Founded by firemen with Pearson Fowler,
Chris Clark, and Wes Mitchell.
On the home of the Gamecocks.
107.5 The Game.
11:20 on a Tuesday morning, and welcome back into the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour. Pearson, Wes, Chris here with you in the Herndon Chevy Studios. Want to remind you, South Carolina on the road this weekend, but still another home game to go. And if you want to win a pair of tickets, Carolina Honda Powerhouse has you covered with the Gamecock ticket giveaway. Just keep listening to 107.5 The Game all football season long. They'll give you a chance to win tickets to go see South Carolina here at Williams-Brice Stadium. Carolina Honda Powerhouse is your source for Honda Power Sports, and you can visit them online for more information, carolinahonda.com. So trying to figure out what to do to fix South Carolina's offense. Just a couple, 4 games to go. Not much you can do this late in the season, and it seems like Shane Beamer has made it clear that there is no intention of changing up the play calling duties. And even if you do, like I had somebody hit me here in the text line, it's like, the problem's not Spencer Rattler. You just need to install an air raid offense. And it's like, okay, you're probably not going to do that on November 1st. So yeah, what are the changes that you can make? And I have thrown out, and this is an easy suggestion. This is not me being a genius or even a reasonably intelligent person, but what do you lose if you put Luke Doty in to start the football game? Spencer Rattler has not transformed your passing game. Even if it's not his fault, South Carolina's passing game is not good. Whatever difference there is between Spencer Rattler, the passer, and Luke Doty, the passer, doesn't seem like it's going to matter if you're throwing most of your passes at the line of scrimmage. What he does add is an element in the running game, which was maybe the single biggest issue for South Carolina, is that beyond Lloyd, Carolina had their running backs had 8 carries for a combined 6 yards. Like, you need something else to run the football if that's what I think that's the actual stat. That you're going to need something else to help you run the football. What is the downside to benching Spencer Rattler in favor of Luke Doty for the remainder of this season?
You've opened up a can there. Like it actually is a very, to me, it's actually kind of a complex question.
Good.
Yeah. So there's so many different directions we could take it. One thing that I have seen lately that I disagree with is some version of either change the quarterback, change the OC, change everybody, whatever you can come up with that it may be, and the statement that it can't get worse. I don't agree with that. It can't get much worse than the Missouri game, that's for sure, right? But we've seen a few iterations of this offense that can win games. We still haven't seen the best version. Maybe we have seen the best version. Maybe I need to stop saying that. We haven't seen a single offensive game where they have been able to do things that all good teams do, which is, I don't penalize South Carolina for saying, well, they only scored on a short field. Every team gets opportunities to score on short fields. Can you score? If you score,
you do get penalized when you fumble, and you get the ball to start in plus territory, stuff like that.
Well, yeah, but I mean, if you score, like if you kick a field goal, you get penalized, right?
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
But we still haven't seen, like, even against what would be the two best offensive games for South Carolina. Well, it would probably be Kentucky and Texas A&M, and because they won those games, for one, they didn't turn the ball over as much. But in each of those games, they still had 2 pretty bad turnovers each. So we haven't seen a game in which, South Carolina's defense and special teams also makes them some plays. So they're playing good complementary football. And then offensively, they're moving it and they haven't turned it over. It appears that this team's identity is that they just turn the football over a lot. So we kind of have to bake that in. It would be interesting to see a version of this team where they're not doing that. But so far, we haven't gotten that.
Right.
So,
well, hold on. Can I pause you right there? Because I want to come back. Wes, you were talking about his stats at Oklahoma, and this is a roundabout kind of observation, but I promise I'll bring it home. Spencer Rattler has turned the ball over a lot this season, a lot of fumbles, a lot of picks. I think we can all agree that not all the interceptions are his fault. The interception late in the game against Missouri. I mean, you're trying to mount a comeback. You're down 13 with 2 minutes to go. Like, you're going to throw the football. You throw interceptions in those scenarios. That's what happens. 2 interceptions that bounced off of Xavier Legette in the SC State game. Those are not Spencer's fault, but they go on his stat sheet. One thing that Will Helms has done a good job of keeping track of, and I just kind of follow him for this stuff, is the turnover-worthy play metric, which not every turnover-worthy play results in a turnover, but Spencer is the worst in the SEC in that metric. And to me, here is the difference, and here's why here's why I'm not writing off Spencer completely as a quarterback, but here's why I'm writing off Spencer Rattler under Marcus Satterfield, because that was never an issue at Oklahoma. Like, the timeliness of some turnovers, I think fairly scrutinized. Like, when you throw a pick in a big game in a close game situation, it's fair to criticize that. But he threw, like, the big season that he had at Oklahoma, I think he threw 6 picks for the entire season.
7
for the entire season.
3 in one game.
Yeah. And then the next year he played half a season and he did throw 5 picks, and that's averaging, extend that out to 10. It's like, I don't know, more than you want. But it's not like this dude has been a turnover machine like Jameis Winston. So to me, that says there is something inherently flawed with the system. But the difference for me is he's not giving you the big plays. I thought for Spencer, even if he did make some mistakes, hold on to the football too long, bail on the pocket, if he does that 6 times in a game, but he gives you 7 wow plays, you're net positive and things are working out. But the difference is Spencer, through maybe no fault of his own, maybe through the shortcomings of the offensive scheme, hasn't been able to give Carolina the big plays in the passing game, and he's continued to put the ball in jeopardy. I'm not telling you that Luke's going to turn it over less, but he's probably not going to have more turnover-worthy plays than Spencer. And maybe that's where I'm going too far with just like hypotheticals. But that's to me where it seems like it might be worth making a change.
Yeah, and I think if you're going into some ifs and hypotheticals as well, I think part of the reason that we haven't seen as many explosives have been, I mean, how many of those plays have been near misses? Like how many times has there been a play this season where you kind of do the, like, you stand up or you sort of perk up and you're like, ooh.
And then you lean backwards.
And then you're like, oh. Like, and so I wonder, I mean, seriously, like, how many times has he unleashed one, like, 60 yards down the field, and for whatever reason, sometimes it's he barely misses. Sometimes it's just that timing's still not quite there. Sometimes, maybe an Oklahoma 5-star receiver, goes up and makes that play versus a South Carolina guy in these particular cases didn't. So, I think, and again, that's not like some big defense. It's just sort of, to me, if we're kind of trying to get to the why, as always, it's never a Twitter answer. It's never like a 280, whatever it is, characters now answer. Like there's many, many reasons. And I think we have to try to dive into what's the biggest percentage reason and what can be fixed. And now, as it was your question, and what can't, what is like an off-season type fix. And I'm convinced percentage wise, pro style scheme and all this stuff. I don't even think that's a Spencer only thing. It doesn't seem like you see a bunch of pro style schemes in the SEC or really in college football in general, just putting up a bunch of points.
I mean, sorry, go ahead.
No, just real quick. One thing. So when you're saying that Luke probably wouldn't turn the ball over as much, is that what you said? I want to make sure I'm doing it justice.
I guess let me rephrase that, because I don't want to say Luke's not going to turn the ball over as much.
Right.
What I'm going to say is Spencer's not giving you the big explosive plays in the passing game, even if it's not his fault. It's just not part of the offense. So what Luke gives you on the other side of that is a running threat. So maybe something just like an extra element. Spencer can throw it short. Luke can throw it short. Spencer can't throw it long right now. Maybe it's his fault. Maybe it's not. Luke at least gives you an extra dimension in your offense. It's not there right now with his legs.
Yeah. And I have been, people have asked us that a lot lately. Like, what do you think about playing Luke? And that can be in any form. It can be starting him, putting him in at halftime, working him in
short yardage situations, whatever.
Yeah. I have no problem if Spencer is playing great and the offense is humming, integrating Luke. I mean, I think he can give you that. And certainly you've seen at some times this year, there is a bit of a missing element with like being able to run the zone read game. And there's some things that Luke can do for you. Now, if there is a point, whether or not you did end up making it or not, just to kind of throw it out there, I don't know if we can say Luke would turn the ball over less, especially because let's be fair, limited sample size, but it's not like he's been incredibly efficient not turning the ball over during his career. Not even fair to say. Not a big enough sample size. And if it is the system that's causing some of these issues, well, then we have a year, Spencer Rattler's best year, where he's not turning the ball over a lot in a different system, not as many turnover worthy plays even. And now he comes to South Carolina, and that is an issue. Well, if it is the system, then whoever you plug in there, may end up having some issues.
Right. I guess there's just more potential for Luke to make something out of nothing than with Spencer. Now, you can make the argument that the way that Spencer can launch throws from any angle, like he has the chance to sort of salvage those plays. I guess I'm just looking, if Carolina's running, 65 plays a game on offense for the next 4 games, is the best hope for improvement that Spencer starts to connect on some of those plays? I think that's kind of a fool's errand 8 games into the season. Is the best hope to put Luke Doty in there and run more zone read with Marshawn Lloyd? Maybe that helps Juju get some better looks if you're, going to run a little, run a speed option. It gives you an added element. And I'm almost not worried about the passing game right now because it's not working. I don't think putting Luke in there fixes the passing game, but keeping Spencer in there, I don't expect the passing game to magically repair itself. So I'm just saying, just turn yourself into Arkansas.
Well, and that kind of goes back to, like, it's not putting in the air raid or the triple option in the middle of the season.
We've seen some zone read. They just haven't run a whole lot of it. If you just run a little bit more of that.
Well, and so the other thing is if you're advocating doing that and kind of changing the offense to make it, like, I guess you could be saying, making it even more run based, based on some existing concepts that you have. Can you administer the offense well enough to be able to not be incredibly one-dimensional? If you just go out and say, we're just going to pretty much run zone read and throw a bunch of short stuff all game, it's still
that's kind of
what
you're
hard
doing right now, though, I guess, is what I'm saying. Like Marcus Satterfield, and for whatever reason, maybe it's because of Marcus Satterfield. Maybe Marcus Satterfield isn't calling these plays because the offensive line isn't protecting enough or because Spencer isn't processing the defenses correctly. I almost don't care what the reason is just for this particular, hypothetical. It's not working. So, like, can Luke Doty throw the bubble screens that Carolina ran on Saturday as well as Spencer? Like, probably. It's like 90% as effective in the bubble screens. There weren't any throws on Saturday there aren't any throws that Marcus Satterfield asked Spencer Rattler to make that I wouldn't think Luke Doty could make.
Yeah, I mean, some of the bust, there weren't many good plays offensively on Saturday, for sure. But a couple of them, and even thinking back to some of the ones this season, even the ones that haven't hit, like the play that Jalen Brooks couldn't quite haul in. Some of those throws are like, there's 5 quarterbacks in the country that can make them, so, and just for whatever reason, they haven't hit. Some of them have. I mean, there was a ball that Spencer hit against Missouri, and there was even the throw down the seam to Stogner. That was, a great throw. But I mean, the problem is they're sitting here talking about a couple of those, and like one of them's a busted play.
And the flip side is, the fumble that should, like, 0 times out of 100 be a fumble where you just, like, fall on the ground and just drop the football, basically. Like Spencer needs to make one more of those spectacular throws per game than the negative plays, and so far he hasn't provided that. So we got to hit a quick break. 803-404-6100. Several of you have weighed in on the text line. Several of you lined up on the Love Chevy phone line. Love to hear your thoughts on this. I don't know if we'll get more clarification from this on Shane Beamer. I imagine somebody will ask some variation of this question, but we'll have to just kind of hold our breath and see. 803-404-6100. Love Chevy phone line, text line, Twitter, at Pearson Fowler, at Wes Mitchell GC, at GC Chris Clark.
More of the Extra Point coming up next on 107.5 The Game.
This football season and every football season, come to campus and catch a game. Whatever the game, whoever you're with, just catch a game. Find your tickets online at GamecocksOnline.com.
Did you know that feeling sluggish or weighed down could be signs that your digestive system isn't working at its best? But taking Metamucil every day can help. Metamucil supports your daily digestive health using a special plant-based fiber called psyllium. Psyllium works by forming a gel in your digestive system to trap and remove the waste that weighs you down. Metamucil's gelling action also helps to promote heart health and slows down sugar absorption to promote healthy blood sugar levels. Start feeling lighter and more energetic by taking Metamucil every day.
When cold symptoms keep you up, try Vicks NyQuil Severe for max strength nighttime relief. Just 1 dose of Vicks NyQuil Severe starts to relieve 9 of your worst cold and flu symptoms to help take you from 9 to none. Get some rest and feel better with Vicks NyQuil Severe. The nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, aching, sore throat, stuffy nose, fever, best sleep with a cold. Medicine. Use as directed.
This could be the best Christmas ever. Hi, I'm Travis McNeil. At Oliver Gospel Mission, we are transforming lives at our Men's Center and our Women's and Children's Center, Toby's Place. Your donations make a daily impact as we provide life skills, jobs, and new housing. You can spread hope and joy this holiday season by donating $35 today at olivergospel.org. Let's celebrate Christ this Christmas. The power of Christ, love. The power of Christ, love.
Ready for an outdoor makeover? You can do it affordably today with Jack Oliver's Pool, Spa, and Patio. We have beautiful, high-quality outdoor furniture brands in stock, including Original Polly's Island, CRP, our recycled polymer line, Palmetto Patio Collection, and more. Make a high-end statement without the high-end price or waiting for weeks. We deliver in Richland and Lexington County, too. Jack Oliver's Pool, Spa, and Patio, 3303 Forest Drive, and JackOliverPools.com.
Are you sick and tired of living with that constant pain in your knees and back? You know, joint pain doesn't just affect you from doing what you love. It affects your job, your relationships, even simple things like getting dressed. Hey, it's Bill Gunner. It's time to call QC Kinetics. QC Kinetics uses advanced regenerative medicine to restore and repair damaged joint tissue, giving you your life back. Whether it's your hips, shoulders, elbows, they can all be treated with natural biologics from your own body. Powerful healing agents, highly concentrated. If you're tired of steroid shots that don't work, or if you're trying to avoid surgery, call QC Kinetics now to schedule your free consultation. Learn about these exciting exciting new cutting-edge treatments for pain caused by arthritis or injury. No drugs, no pain meds, and no downtime. This is an all-natural treatment that can get you lasting relief. People here are raving about the results. Call now, 803-281-6860. Again, that's 803-281-6860. Appointments are available this coming week. Again, that's 803-281-6860. That's QC Kinetics.
Locally owned Atlantic Windows and Doors has been making Columbia area homes more comfortable, attractive, weather-tight, and energy efficient for over 35 years. How? By distributing products from the best window and door manufacturers in the country. These products give you the best looks, the best quality, and the best value, all based on your specific needs. And everything is professionally installed by their dedicated and experienced employees, not subcontractors. Atlantic Windows and Doors. Visit them online at awdsc.com.
It's the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour, presented by Firehouse Subs, founded by firemen with Pearson Fowler, Chris Clark, and Wes Mitchell on the home of the Gamecocks, 107.5 The Game.
38 minutes after 11 o'clock on a Tuesday morning. Welcome back into the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour. Pearson, Wes, Chris here with you, talking Carolina. I guess sort of Missouri game, not exactly. A little big picture, not quite on to Vanderbilt. Shane Beamer will start to head us in that direction this afternoon. He'll preview the Commodores. I imagine have some thoughts and answer some questions about the offense, what to do, play calling responsibilities, quarterbacks. What are we like minus 850 that everything stays the same, and plus like a bazillion that Carolina changes anything in a significant way this week?
I don't know how all those numbers work. Not a gambler, but yes. I mean, there's not going to be a different play caller this week. Like, I feel like that's pretty.
Yeah.
I feel like we'd be hearing that if that was the case.
Can I ask you, because I am never. Yeah, I think I can say never. Historically, I've never been an advocate of moving on from your coach in the middle of the season, like Auburn did, like Carolina did with Will Muschamp. You know, I guess Spurrier kind of called his own shot there. But in general...
Yeah, fired myself.
Yeah. It's never a good option. That being said, what does Carolina stand to lose, or what would they have hypothetically stood to lose if they fired Marcus Satterfield on Sunday?
Oh, boy. When I answer this, I'm going to couch it as like, what the line of thinking may be. So don't tweet at me and yell at me and say my point is dumb. I'm trying to
tweet at me and yell at me.
Get inside the mind of like why you wouldn't. So I go back to one point, okay, that I made earlier. Despite people will yell at me about this, maybe rightfully so. It can get worse. It can. Okay. You could be Iowa, even though Iowa, they finally scored like 31 points against Northwestern.
Yeah. That opened as the lowest over-under in the history of football.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So I don't know how it happened. I assume
how
I assume some of those were offensive touchdowns, but I don't know. But anyway, it can get worse, right? If the offense had played awful against Kentucky and A&M, they wouldn't have won those games. Okay. There was a baseline of competency, at least, in those games. Okay. So it can get worse. It may be your opinion of it couldn't get much worse or somebody else could do better. That's fine. I'm just saying it could get worse. So maybe that's the line of thinking. Also, you would have to shake up your staff pretty significantly. Some people have talked about, well, what about a demotion or something? You would have to probably move somebody on the field and then move somebody off the field, because right now, position coach wise, Greg Atkins has, not been with the team. So Lonnie Teasley moved onto the field from an analyst role, but nobody else has play calling experience. So Hardesty Step, Jody Wright, Lonnie Teasley, unless I'm mistaken, I don't think any of those guys have play calling experience. So you would have to move, like people keep pointing to Freddie Kitchens, who has some offensive coordinator experience. You'd have to move him on and take somebody off the field.
It's a shame Eric's not on staff anymore.
Eric's called some plays. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's, And there might be something about the continuity and kind of what you're saying, Pearson, and just if you don't like the idea of that is a big shakeup, right? Like, so there are a few different layers to it where you can see,
And I acknowledge that it doesn't fix your offense because if Freddie Kitchens did come in as the OC and quarterback coach and play caller, he's still running the same plays that Carolina has been practicing for 6 months, which are Marcus Satterfield's plays. So I understand there's a limitation there. I guess my thought is just like the offensive players can't be stoked with how they've played this season. And I'm sure some of those guys are taking some personal responsibility. Some of those guys are probably frustrated with the scheme. Is there any chance to get like the boost of, like this repressive yoke that has just been holding us down has been removed and now we can play freely? I know that's a lot of speculation.
Yeah,
but that's at least the line of thinking for why would something like that work? Like you're a soccer fan. You see it all the time. Like soccer teams are ridiculous in how quickly they move off their coaches. But the first month of whoever the new coach is, it could be like, I don't know, like Grandma Sue, who was just like gardening outside of the front of the stadium, and she comes in, and the team's just so excited to play for somebody different for another month. And that's an assessment of what is the locker room like. I just can't imagine the offensive players are super stoked to be playing for Sat right now.
Yeah, and I mean it's kind of like you mentioned Spurrier earlier and how he walked away. I remember that time period and the changes. You remember, Wes, like Sean Elliott's playing music at practice and they're doing different things and the players are excited. They lost to the Citadel. So it's kind of, you do have to look for actual results too. And so there can be any number of reasons. I also don't think that people need to take, like this happens all the time. Will Muschamp won't fire Kurt Roper for some unknown reason, and that's a different question than should he have hired him in the first place? Should he have fired him after year one? But people kept saying he won't fire him. He fired him.
You mean when people get pre-mad?
The pre-mad thing. I hate the pre-mad. And so people are pre-mad about Shane's not going to do anything with Marcus Satterfield because they're buddies. And it's just, I don't think it's grounded in reality. I mean, he did bring him back after year one. That's true. He is not dismissing him in the middle of the season, and he's made that clear pretty demonstrably, right? Which has people thinking even more, well, he answered the question that way. I don't have any doubt that if Shane Beamer gets to the end of year two and he thinks that whatever staff changes need to be made, I think he'll make them. He's not, I don't know if I can do that. I think he'll make those choices, even if they're hard. But it does appear that it's not going to be right now going into the Vanderbilt game, and probably, if we had to guess, probably not the rest of the season either.
Yeah. Two quick texts, or I guess a tweet and a text here. Jason says, we've seen 5 quarterbacks try to run this offense. This system doesn't score points. It doesn't matter who the trigger man is. At best, it's inconsistent. At worst, they turn the ball over and don't know what they're doing. And I think that's fair. Like the sample size that seemed like it was not even a credit, but it was like, how can you evaluate Marcus Satterfield's systems when you had a rotating a rotating cast of quarterbacks? I'm like, that's fair. See what happens in year two. I think now it ends up serving as sort of an additional indictment when you have a 5th different quarterback running it to the same effect.
And I think, people are going to naturally say, well, Shane Beamer should have made the change after one offseason. And that's going to be the argument. And I think, again, I'm not in Shane Beamer's head. I can't assume to know exactly what he was thinking. But I believe that the thought process was, look, I'm not going to make the knee-jerk decision. Yes, this has to be better. Maybe in a year or two, when everybody gets a little more comfortable in this thing, it all starts to click. We don't have to go into whether bowl games matter or not, but I think that was fresh on people's minds. And, I think the fact that South Carolina has had a different play caller, a different quarterbacks coach for what felt like every year for like a decade. Wasn't actually, but
it would have been 4-4.
Yeah, so look,
4 in 4 years.
Look at take Luke Doty for example. Luke Doty was offered by Kurt Roper, was recruited by Dan Warner, was signed by Mike Bobo, and then was coached by Bobo and Marcus Satterfield. So that's no way for any offense to find continuity and find comfort level. I mean, you got 4 different systems running through your mind for some of these guys. I think Beamer said, I'm going to make kind of the difficult decision. A lot of people say, well, he's not willing to make a difficult decision. In some ways, in the face of everything going on, The difficult decision was probably not to make a change last year and say, look, I'm going to put faith in my guy. Everybody sees the offense has struggled this year. Everybody sees the outcome. Shane Beamer sees the outcome. Like Chris said, I don't think there's going to be a change during the season, but these guys aren't blind. Everybody sees what has happened. Satterfield's contract was not renewed last year when other guys were, it was not extended last year. Let me get that right. When other guys were. So, I think it's going to be an off-season decision, it seems.
Especially
my opinion only.
Yeah, well, and especially in light of Auburn moving on from Brian Harsin after 21 games, just a good reminder that patience is probably a little bit undervalued in sports. And as much as I would have thought, if Shane Beamer had moved on from Marcus Satterfield at the end of last season, I would have thought it was a good decision. But I also, as maybe the most vocal critic in Columbia of Marcus Satterfield, I don't think it was a terrible decision to keep him for all the variables that we mentioned, and just in general, patience, for all the things that you mentioned, Wes. I don't think that it's unreasonable to think that Shane Beamer made the right decision at the time, even if it didn't turn out the right way. I like to say, and I can't remember who I heard say this, but it's one of my favorite sayings, but the fact of an outcome is not proof of its own inevitability. So we shouldn't assume that just because it didn't work out this year, that it was always going to not work out this year. Just something to keep in mind. Like you said, whether you want it to happen or not, it's not going to happen. Carolina's going to have him call plays for the rest of the season, which is why I've started to turn my attention more to what are the little margins that Carolina can exploit to try to scrape together some consistency out of this offense when you do have two more winnable games. And if Carolina gets to 7-5 in the regular season, whatever shortcomings there are in the offense, that's going to be a successful season, assuming that you don't lose 100-0 to Tennessee and Clemson, which would probably take some of the shine off, but win 7 games.
Do we have 1 second?
Sure.
So the number one adjustment that this staff has to make, to me, and there is some schematics, but it's not even, are we drawing up these plays that are just going to completely befuddle the opposing defense and things like that. The number one job of the offensive staff has to be whoever you've got out there, running back, quarterback, whatever your personnel may be, your packages, etc. It has to be find a way to help your players not turn the football over so much. I don't know even what that is.
Yeah.
For Spencer, we've seen some ball security issues. We've seen some execution errors, and we've seen some bad decisions. The bad decisions are the ones you can't live with, So the ones against Missouri, you pointed out, Pearson, the end of game one. It was frustrating to watch, but whatever. It's probably pretty inconsequential.
That's not why you lost the game.
Yeah, it's not why you lost. The fumble ended up being fairly, unless you want to count field position, it was inconsequential because Missouri missed the field goal.
Right.
Yeah, but there was some consequence to it. At the minimum, you're losing some field position there, which is valuable in that game. But those have not been the only types of turnovers we've seen from the rest of the team as well. So you have to find a way to make it easier on your guys to play fast and to be able to execute, to make better decisions, to play a clean game, to not turn the football over. That has to be the starting point. I don't know how you do that. It's not my job, fortunately, but that's what you have to do.
Yeah, the team's still looking to win the turnover margin in SEC play. They'll have another chance to do it against Vanderbilt. That will prove to be their easiest test, or should prove to be their easiest test of the season. We'll see how they can get right later on this weekend. 803-404-6100. A few more of your thoughts as we close things out here on the Gamecock Central Hour next.
More of the Extra Point coming up next on 107.5 The Game.
Got an appetite for football? Football Saturday and Sundays are back, and you can catch games all day at Twin Peaks. Grab a 29-degree draft and check out our scratch menu. Visiting during the week? No one does happy hour like Twin Peaks. Whatever your preference, we have everything from tequila cocktails and an extensive bourbon menu category to top shelf spirits and cocktails served over ice. Local craft beers and handcrafted whiskey cocktails round out an adventurous drink menu second to none. And don't forget about our 29-degree man-sized drafts.
Fall is here, and with it comes all the traditional family outings like tailgating, mountain and beach adventures, and road trips to grandma's over the holidays. Wherever you go, go with great gas mileage, safety, technology, comfort, and style in a new Honda from Honda of Columbia. Right now, you'll get more for your trade than ever, and as always, you'll enjoy their no-hassle pricing, no-pressure buying experience. Honda of Columbia, your friendly family Honda dealer since 1978. Highway 378 at I-20.
Cashback is not available on gas in New Jersey and Wisconsin. Hey, good morning. You're heading to the airport, right?
Yep, thanks for checking.
I like the car. How long have you been a rideshare driver?
About 3 years now. I really enjoy it.
Isn't it hard to make money these days with the price of gas being so high?
Not for me. I use Upside, the free app that gives you cash back for every gallon of gas you buy.
Wait a minute. Are you saying you actually get real money back when you get gas with the Upside app?
Yep, I get real cash back every time I get gas.
Does that actually add up to anything?
I'll make around $200 to $300.
Wow, that's serious extra cash. I'm downloading the Upside app now.
Download the free Upside app now to earn real cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code WIN for an extra 25 cents a gallon bonus on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank account, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code WIN for a 25 cents a gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code WIN.
Offer not valid in all states or where prohibited by law. Loans are subject to lender approval. See website for details.
Wait. Tell me, where'd you get that money?
Oh, this? Oh, man. All this money came from 43money.com right online.
Are you saying you went to 43money.com and got all that money you needed fast?
Man, you know it. I went to 43money.com yesterday and bam, $5,000 was in my account today. Straight up.
Now, hold on. 43money.com helped you get $5K like that?
Yeah, man, that's right. 43money.com's lenders provide personal loans for up to $5,000 for people like you and me, even if you don't have good credit.
Man, I'm always short on cash. Can 43money.com help me get the money I need fast?
If you need extra money fast, go to 43money.com. Just have a checking account and a regular source of income. Go to 43money.com and you can get the loan you need now. Regardless of your credit, go to 43money.com to get the money you need fast. Type www.43money.com directly into the address bar. That's 43money.com. Again, 43money.com. 43money.com.
One search engine is used by 9 out of 10 consumers. Hint, the name begins with a G. And there are hundreds of things that go into being ranked highly by that engine. Your website, your business profile, even your social accounts. A couple of slip-ups and you find yourself on page 7. But at Cumulus Boost, we have the experts and resources to fix what's wrong and boost your findability so you can rank higher than your competition. Get started today at cumulusboost.com. CUMULUS boost.com.
Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet Studios. This is 1075 The Game. Stop by or shop online today and see why Herndon Chevrolet makes you smile.
It's the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour.
Presented by Firehouse Subs. Founded by firemen with Pearson Fowler,
Chris Clark, and Wes Mitchell.
On the home of the Gamecocks.
1075
The Game.
Couple minutes left here on a Tuesday morning. Welcome back in. Last couple minutes of the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour. Shane Beamer's weekly press conference coming up this afternoon. Will probably be one of the more highly anticipated and watched/listened to press conferences of the year. Very curious to see what Coach Beamer has to say after the Missouri loss and ahead of Carolina's road trip to Vanderbilt. We forgot to recap our buy or sell yesterday, Wes. I don't know if you have that right now, but you can at least.
I do. I thought you just didn't want to.
Well, that too. We also had a lot to get to. Did I not do well?
Well, none of us did well. Because remember, we had like almost all the same answers, and they were all equally bad.
We bought like good things for South Carolina. They did not do.
Yeah,
should have been our sign.
All right, let's hear it.
Our buy or sell did not go well, but your buy or sell can go very well with Kendall Walsh. She's my realtor. She can be yours as well. She's with the Moore Company, 803-414-3590. Workwithwalsh@gmail.com. @workwithwalsh on Twitter, on Instagram. You can search for her on Facebook as well. She used to be with the Gamecock Club. You may remember her as Kendall Belk. Huge Gamecock fan. She helped walk me through the process with my fiance when we bought a house. Helped my mother-in-law, future mother-in-law, sell her house. She can do the same for you. Again, 803-414-3590. And she is the wonderful sponsor of our buy or sell. How bad do y'all recall that we did?
What we do? 4?
We did 4.
We went over.
Oh, I thought I went 2 and 2 actually.
No, I think I did over. Went over.
Okay, did the Gamecocks have 2 sacks?
No. They had 1.
They had 3 pressures.
And 1 sack.
And I think I sold that.
No, you bought. Well, we can check.
Discrepancy.
We got to check the tape.
No, you did. No. Because that was the first one we did. Remember, we were all agreeing, and then you did sell one.
Okay.
That changed things. So I I won't call Larry a dummy because Larry is a great sponsor of this show.
A not
But
dumb
us
sponsor.
us three dummies all bought that.
Yep.
And it didn't happen. Spencer Rattler, 2 or more touchdowns against.
I definitely
Missouri.
sold that.
That you did sell that. Okay. You might have gone. Let's continue. Us 2 dummies bought that. Marshawn Lloyd, 20 touches.
Oof, we all bought excitedly.
Yes.
And would have if he didn't get banged up.
Yeah, and
unfortunately.
Was really one of the few people able to make some things happen on offense. But no excuses. We all bought. We're dummies. Let's see. How many did we have? We did an extra one.
Yeah.
I actually don't know the answer on this one. There will be a touchdown of more than 30 yards. For any of Missouri's.
I don't think so.
No. They had the quarterback run in. They had a running back short run as well. So okay,
that was it. 2 touchdowns, 3 field goals, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Us 2 dummies bought. Pearson, you actually did okay. You sold. And this is when it just really gets stupid. South Carolina wins the game.
Everybody bought. We'll just give everybody. Bang. Here we go. Sorry.
Yeah, we all bought. Well, I don't know. Not a good week. Again, your buy or sell with Kendall Walsh will go much better than our buy or sell did in here. But Pearson, you got 2 of them right. So
yeah, not too bad.
You can talk about stuff.
That's all right. Well, we're out of time here. I'll save it. We'll do some more buy or sell Friday. Hopefully we do better then. Appreciate you all listening though. Enjoy Shane Beamer's press conference a little bit later. We'll be back tomorrow to talk about everything we heard from Coach Beamer. Start to look ahead to Vanderbilt. That's all we have time for. Halftime show's coming up next, and we will talk to you tomorrow.